To most Australians, terrorism in Indonesia means Jemaah Islamiyah. Abu Bakar Bashir, Dr. Azahari and Nurdin Muhammad Top have become household names, and we're led to believe they're the masterminds behind every atrocity. But there's another side to the JI story that Australia hasn't heard, and it's part of the extraordinary family history of this man.
Ini Tunku Fauzi Hasbi ketika selepas dari masa tahanan, kemudian dia kembali pada keluarga dan membangun perekonomian keluarga.
Lam Karuna Putra's father was an Achinese separatist leader, descended from a long line of Achinese fighters. He went on to become a key figure in Jemaah Islamiyah. Fauzi Hasbi, who used the alias Abu Jihad, was in contact with Osama bin Laden's deputy, Ayman al-Zawahiri. He lived for many years in the house next door to Abu Bakar Bashir in Malaysia, and he was very close to JI operations chief Hambali. Umar Abdu is an Islamist convicted of terrorism and jailed for 10 years under the Suharto regime. He belonged to a group that attacked police stations and hijacked a Garuda flight to Bangkok. He remembers Fauzi Hasbi as a hardliner who traded arms and was willing to commit acts of violence.
Fauzi Hasbi yang dikenal oleh gerakan Islam memang pada awalnya sebagai seorang yang punya kepedulian terhadap jihad perjuangan umat Islam. Di samping latar belakang dia sebagai GAM.
Fauzi Hasbi was so relaxed amongst the militants, and they with him, that he even took his son to a critical meeting in Kuala Lumpur in January 2000, as JI was preparing for its violent campaign. The attendance list was a who's who of accused terrorists.
Kemudian dari Mindanao, dari MILF juga hadir, Ustadz Abu Hurairah namanya, panglimanya Abu Sayyaf. Kemudian dari Patani, Ustadz Abdul Fatah juga hadir. Dari Sulawesi, dari Jawa Barat, semuanya hadirlah dalam pertemuan itu. Itu lembaga yang dikelola oleh Hambali seperti itu. Rabitoh itu artinya ikatan. Ikatan seluruh gerakan Islam di Asia Tenggara.
Jadi pimpinan rapat itu Hambali?
Hambali. Hambali pimpinan rapat itu.
Hambali and co. would have known their colleague Fauzi Hasbi had been captured in 1978 by this Indonesian military special forces unit. But they wouldn't have known that he became a secret agent for Indonesian military intelligence. The commanding officer that caught him was Syafri Samsudin, now a general and one of Indonesia's key military intelligence figures. These documents obtained by Dateline prove beyond doubt that Fauzi Hasbi had a long association with the military. This 1990 document, signed by the Chief of Military Intelligence in North Sumatra, authorized Fauzi Hasbi to undertake a special job. And this 1995 internal memo from Military Intelligence Headquarters in Jakarta was a request to use Brother Fauzi Hasbi to spy on Achinese separatists, not only in Indonesia, but in Malaysia and Sweden. And then this document, from only 3 years ago, assigned him the job of Special Agent for BIN, the National Intelligence Agency. Security analyst John Mempi says Fauzi Hasbi, alias Abu Jihad, played a crucial role within JI in its early years.
Kongres Jamaah Islamiyah pertama di Bogor, di Puncak, itu difasilitasi oleh Abu Jihad setelah kepulangan Abu Bakar Bashir dari Malaysia. Nah, ini terlihat bahwa Abu Jihad sangat berperan sekali di situ. Yang terbukti belakangan bahwa Abu Jihad adalah agen intel. Berarti yang memfasilitasi selama ini adalah aparat intelijen, memfasilitasi gerakan Islam radikal.
The extraordinary story of Fauzi Hasbi raises many important questions about JI and the Indonesian authorities. Why didn't they smash the terror group in its infancy? Do they still have agents in the organization? And what information, if any, have they had in advance about the recent deadly spate of terror attacks? The Indonesian intelligence chief refused Dateline's request for an interview, and dead men tell no tales. The man who held all the secrets, Abu Jihad, was disemboweled in a mysterious murder in early 2003, just after he was exposed as a military agent. His son, Lam Karuna Putra, died in this plane crash last month. Fauzi Hasbi's death led to a flurry of speculation about shadowy intelligence links to Indonesia's terror networks.
Jadi tidak satu pun kelompok Islam atau kelompok gerakan dan politik Islam yang tidak dikooptasi oleh intelijen. Semuanya berkooptasi dengan intelijen.
Umar Abdu says his terrorist group was incited to violence after infiltrators showed a letter saying Muslim clerics would be assassinated.
Memberikan dokumen bahwasanya tokoh-tokoh Islam akan dieksekusi. Kami sebagai orang muda otomatis bangkit semangatnya, kurang ajar. Ini tidak benar. Kita harus bunuh semua kabinet dan pimpinan-pimpinan militer. Seperti itu rencana kami.
And he's not the only one who says he was used by intelligence agents. Another convicted terrorist is Timsar Zubil, who exploded 3 bombs in Sumatra in 1978. Although no one was killed, he paid a heavy price.
Saya vonis pertama hukuman mati, berubah dari seumur hidup, akhirnya yang saya jalani 22 tahun.
Zubil now believes he was set up by former President Suharto's intelligence agency.
Kemungkinan ya, itu memang sengaja ditumbuhkan dan dibiarkan sedemikian rupa, sehingga dengan begitu kita-kita yang muda-muda yang masih emosinya tinggi terpancing untuk melakukan hal-hal yang melanggar hukum.
Dibiarkan oleh siapa?
Ya oleh pihak yang berwenang untuk melarang itu, ya dalam hal ini katakanlah penguasa ya, penguasa rejim Orde Baru pada waktu itu. Belakangan baru terpikir oleh saya pada waktu melakukan kegiatan itu sendiri, saya tidak terfikir sejauh itu.
After Zubil was captured, beaten and tortured, something remarkable occurred. The authorities made up a provocative name for his group, Komando Jihad.
Kita yang tidak pernah berpikir untuk pakai nama itu, tapi kita disuruh menerima bahwa itulah nama organisasi kami. Rencanakan atau pakai nama Komando Jihad. Ya sudah, pokoknya sekarang kalian terima saja. Nanti di pengadilan kalian mau bantah terserah kalian. Tapi ya tetap saja pengadilan tidak peduli, tetap saja nama itu diberikan kepada kita.
Indonesia's recent history of terrorist attacks began with a deadly campaign that unfolded on Christmas Eve 2000. Bombs exploded almost simultaneously at 18 sites, mostly churches, across 6 provinces. 19 people died and 120 were injured. Jemaah Islamiyah took the blame. It was the first real mention of the group in Australia. But Indonesians had another theory. They suspected the military, the only organisation with the capacity to pull off an operation of this scale, a full 2 years before the first Bali bomb. The respected news magazine Tempo even splashed the allegation on its front cover as part of a special investigation. The most revealing information in the report related to the bombers' network operating in Medan, North Sumatra. The man convicted of making the bombs in Medan is somewhere behind these prison walls. Our repeated requests to interview Edi Sugiarto over many months have been ignored by the Indonesian authorities. Guilty or not, reputable sources claim he was so severely tortured before his trial he would have admitted to anything. But it's clear he wasn't acting alone. The Tempo investigation included telephone records revealing sensational information of direct links between the bombers and military intelligence. The records also show that Fauzi Hasbi, the military intelligence agent in Jemaah Islamiyah who we mentioned earlier, was at the center of the plot. He had spoken to Edi Sugiarto, the bomb maker, 7 times, and had also called a businessman well connected with the military 35 times. That businessman, in turn, rang a Kopassus Special Forces intelligence officer 15 times, and the officer had called the businessman 56 times. With Edi Sugiarto in jail, all further investigation ceased, and 5 years on, sources in Medan are too afraid to talk. The trail has gone stone cold.